Hello and welcome back to this Do Not Watch Sensitive Content episode about the critique of yoga philosophy. It is a fifth episode, and now we have reached a very important stage, which is very, very sensitive and which you should not watch because it can damage you emotionally. It can hurt your religious feelings. It can even hurt you deeply because you believe in yoga deeply. Yoga is everything. And now I'm going to fact check yoga, and that is the test for external contradictions. And if I say I'm going to fact check yoga, sensitive content, do not watch. That means you're going to find a lot of fault with yoga philosophy of Patanjali, the dualistic philosophy, where the two realities are Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha being the consciousness, pure consciousness, and Prakriti being matter. Now, yoga philosophy is an ancient philosophy. It is definitely a Hindu philosophy, as understood because Hinduism is a recent word, but it is a school of thought. Remember, in days when there was no form of globalization, no media, no radio, no electricity, nothing, no loudspeakers, no news. So, can't even imagine the level of ignorance and darkness in those days. And in those days, in that part of India, which spans east to west, north, south, the subcontinent, there was this work called Yoga Sutra, and it is claimed to have been written in around 200 AD, but the latest copies are from 1850 after that. So there's a long gap between the time of composition and the availability of the extant copies. So that means you need not believe Yoga Sutra because this is source criticism, and source criticism says that the gap between the date of composition and the earliest copies should not be so wide. Even if it is too wide like this, you should reject it as a real copy or the real Yoga Sutra. Even if there was a Yoga Sutra, and if we have the first copy only in 1872, there is no need for you to accept it as the real Yoga Sutra. You need to reject it. Okay, so that is the first point. Secondly, the author. There is no external evidence for the existence of this Patanjali, or whether it is the same Patanjali, even if there is some evidence, if at all, there is no. And it is the same Patanjali who wrote this Yoga Sutra. So that is author is unknown. It is claimed that it is written by Patanjali. Okay, so that is no evidence. Written, say it is written during those dark days of ignorance and localization. So you should not believe anything which comes out of that except if there is sufficient evidence. What is called the principle of sufficient reason, PSR. So Yoga Sutra as a book, Patanjali as its author, does not have sufficient reason to be believed in. So whatever bias you have as Indians or Hindus, it should not stop you from rejecting this claim that this is the Yoga Sutra and this Patanjali is the real author. Or, in India, everything would have changed. 1,600 years, you are telling that it is preserved. No, I don't think so. Hindus do not make such claims. Only Muslims and Christians make such claims. And that is for the Bible. That's because they have a God who gave it and who preserved it, and there is evidence for it. There is principle of sufficient evidence for the preservation of the Bible. As Christians claim, there is no evidence of preservation of the Quran. If you apply the principle of sufficient reason, PSR, Quran has not been preserved, Bible has been preserved, and Yoga Sutra also has not been preserved, but they do not make a claim that it is preserved or anything. They just believe it. Whoever wants can believe it. They're not very particular about this then. This is a culture in which the truth is not pursued rigorously. Okay, they'll just believe in bandwagon effect and, based on the credibility of the person, halo effect, and expert based on the expertise, all these things. Based on all these things, people will believe because there is no way they can find out whether it is true or not. So that is the first point for rejecting the yoga philosophy. It does not correspond with reality, the whole work, the author. There's no need to believe any of that. Other claims in other philosophies, these are obtained just by doing some chanting and mantras and invoking evil spirits or spirit guides and all those things. You don't need to do anything. You just call and they will give you. They will enter you and give you these powers, so called. And that, I think, is the only explanation for all these claims, that they are going to open themselves up to some spirits, which in the biblical POV are demons, and they have to be rejected. And that's why all these practices, clairvoyance and other things, claims, whatever it is, it should not be, you should not dabble, you should not want them, you should not try to get them, you should not get their help either. You don't get the powers, you should not get the help or seek the help of those who claim to have those powers also. You should depend only on God. Okay, that is a very important part where yoga philosophy goes into some form of, demonology, and it's where this is where it becomes dangerous. So practitioners claim that they can develop the ability to perceive distant or hidden objects and understand the thoughts of others, telepathy. So you want to know, a king wants to know what the enemy is thinking. He wants to know what he is doing. So either they fake it or they use, black arts, what is called forbidden things in the Bible, and invoke the evil spirits. And with their help, they may be able to get that information which may or may not be right. These are not reliable anyway. Even if they are able to give you some information. Scientifically, these can be rejected. Spiritually, as Christians, you need to reject them because it is forbidden stuff. The same with levitation and invisibility. This needs to be rejected just because it is not part of reality. So what he's telling is, advanced yogi can achieve levitation. They can fly, and they can become invisible. These are, this is now reaching a stage where they are selling these things because it is not verifiable. Or some dark, powers are involved in blocking the person from seeing that particular person. So that is the only explanation. There is no such power as levitation or visibility, which they have proven. If they power, you need to come out and prove it, not do all these. So these claims are unsubstantiated and should not be accepted as fact, even if they are claimed, even if they are popular, even if they are interesting, even if they are attractive claims. You should reject them as non-factual. There is no documented verifiable evidence of human beings achieving levitation or becoming invisible. These are based on anecdotal accounts or misinterpretation of phenomena. We need not explain them away because they have to prove it. The burden of proof is with them to prove that it is true. Omniscience. So this is now getting into God territory, Omniscience, know everything. So through spiritual practice, one can attain complete and perfect knowledge of all things. It's going into things, and the claims are getting wild. Very wild now. They are telling that the yoga practitioner at a higher stage can know everything. How do you know? What do you know is everything in the first place. So even the claim is wrong. Okay, so that is very important. So why are they making these claims if you cannot know? Because it is based on speculation, intuition, and subjectivity. It is because it is intuitive. He thinks so. He thinks he knows everything, subjectively and speculatively, not definitely. And that is the reason why these claims are made. And these have entered Yoga Sutra as, from claims, it's all powers which are available, real, based on intuition, speculation, and subjectivity. Now we'll move on to their concept of liberation. Yoga philosophy posits that through the disciplined practice of this yoga, person can achieve liberation or can be delivered from the material prakriti and can can be absorbed into the pure consciousness, because he is pure consciousness who is trapped in the matter. So that is the yoga philosophy. Okay, this is Gnosticism, which was in Europe, and that is this same thing which has come, which has seems to have occurred here at the same time. Second century, third century is when Gnosticism reached its peak. And that is the same time that in India we have the Yoga Sutra written. And the claim is around 200 to 400, and you can see Gnosticism also flourished during this time. So Gnosticism was RIP by Christians, but of course it's traveled here in India, and it is the most loved, accepted mark of India is yoga philosophy, and that is Gnosticism. So you can see, if Christianity grows here, that will be the end of Gnosticism here, called yoga philosophy. So again, the claims of reincarnation and karma can also be said to be false or factually erroneous. These are religious ideas which no proofs, which cannot be proved, especially claiming that I was somebody else in the previous birth. If at least you say you are the same person in the previous birth, you can at least think about believing it. That is, you are going to be somebody else. And that is the sort of nonsense which comes, is the Indian version of Gnosticism, where you get mixed with karma. Everything gets mixed with karma and reincarnation. In the European version, of course, you don't have that. So there is no conclusive proof of, based on past life memories. Those are just delusional. We can only say delusional. And it goes into, it is a delusional disorder from my perspective, definitely. And it is a form of it's delusional because they are unwilling to let go of the belief. So that is where it's become delusional, except, in this case, because it is about the past life and the things which in your past life you were somebody else and you did something else, and that is the reason why, for whatever happens in this birth, and that is what you want to believe. Don't call it fact. It is a religious idea, you are free to believe, but I will tell you, this is getting into delusional territory. Okay, so you must not allow this to stay in your mind. You should reject it altogether. Next, we come to the ultimate understanding of reality. Can you know ultimate reality? Can humans mix up what they are thinking during meditation, or after assuming they have reached a higher state of consciousness, whatever they are contemplating, giving answers to be what reality is all about? Is this not also a delusion? Or spiritual practices can lead to significant personal insights and even some transformative experiences, which are still questionable. The claim of attaining ultimate understanding of reality itself based on yoga practice is totally delusional and problematic. So reality as understood through scientific investigation, objective knowledge contradicts yoga philosophy. There is no universal consciousness. And there is no, consciousness trapped in matter, which needs to be delivered. What we do see is that we have a consciousness and there is matter, which is the body. But that does not mean that explains all of reality. There is the universal consciousness, and this is something wrong that you need to be separated. And you need to mix with the universal consciousness. And this matter is getting trapped in matter is bondage or the problem. That is the problem for humanity. Can you imagine? Me being in my body is the problem, according to yoga philosophy. And that is the sort of thing which will come again and again in different forms, from different perspective. Okay, getting a rebirth is the other problem. It's understandable. Looking at, those days, ancient philosophies, in their ancient context, no science, no vaccination, no antibiotics, no painkillers, a lot of wars and violence and caste. You can understand why they are trying to avoid another birth. But to believe it now you want another birth. You want to be in 2050 or 2060. Who is telling you don't want another birth now? Everyone wants another birth. They are not trying to escape. It is not the problem anymore. Now the problem is life is short. They're trying to extend it. You have reached a totally opposite stage. And therefore, as thinking rational individuals, if you are that, I recommend, suggest that you reject these Indian philosophical systems which came in response to the ancient primitive state, where of course you don't want to have another birth. No AC. Just imagine that one thing. Apart from no internet, no TV, no radio, you have to work all day, morning 5 to night, all days, no holidays. So we need to understand the context in which these philosophies evolved and reject them, and to the realm of ideas and reactions to these terrible realities of life in tropical India. So now I've helped you understand these important facts, which when we have fact-checked yoga philosophy for its unreasonable megalomaniacal claims, and none of them are factual. Yoga philosophy has nothing to do with reality, let alone explaining reality. It can be and should be kept in the realm of ideas and perspectives. Of course, understanding them will broaden your mind. It's not sort of exercise, mathematics. You can keep it like that to develop your thinking capacities, but not to fall for them. That too in 2025. It's almost there. Not now. Most important thing which we should fact check, which I will help you, is that the health claims of yoga. So numerous health claims have been made, but these are confounded studies, biased studies, and results which can have alternate explanations. So they do not establish causality, only correlation. And therefore, the claims that yoga causes health benefits should not be made. There's no causal connection. You can't say that it's correlated, strongly correlated, weakly correlated, all those things. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, those are in this realm of anti-realism, professional jargons. And I can tell you, you can live happily without yoga. And yoga will not provide you with health benefits, as in Patanjali's yoga. Okay, you're doing some, not every stretch, every posture holding is yoga. No. Okay, so you should understand that there are a lot of systems of stretching, posture holding, all those things, and it has nothing to do with yoga. A lot of systems of muscle relaxation, they're nothing to do with yoga. Nothing to do even with India. Every system has developed it, from China to United States. A lot of people have developed a lot of systems for this. Therefore, the health claims of yoga also should be rejected. And if you accept them, it only means you do not know how to analyze and determine whether it's true or not. Secondly, you're biased. So most probably you would not have reached this stage because it's too sensitive. And I have told the Pride of India yoga is factually incorrect and does not exist. It's total scam. So we should not attach this. It's already done, so nothing can be done. It is identified with India and all those things, but it is not true. That's all. Okay, it is one of those myths which came out of India. That that's all you can say. And which this myth is traveling in the name of philosophy and science, misappropriating scientific terms for its purpose. What is that? Except that this is deception. So while yoga philosophy will help you to, be a good thinker because you do not agree with it, you're questioning it, and you learn to think, and you develop insights about how to it's a good exercise in discernment. Several of its grand claims fail to correspond with reality, fail to correspond with fact, fail to correspond with science. Indians are too hasty to believe anything about yoga. Indians are biased and they will believe anything positive about yoga which you claim. You can sell, but you will also be deceiving them, apart from the fact that they are already self-deceived. So we have seen that yoga philosophy fails the test of correspondence, which is a test for truth, because it contradicts external reality. So thank you for joining. Probably you did not watch, and if you watched till now, I believe it has helped you. It has helped you to develop your discernment, your critical thinking powers, and I believe you will also be able to tell the difference between truth and error, science and pseudoscience, ideas and reality. May God bless you. Jesus loves you.